You seem a lot happier now, buddy. Oh, we hit the big one, folks. I found the Wilberts of the ATV action. Power Sports Nation. Massive, massive used parts. Apparently UTVs, side-by-sides, and ATVs, and I think snow machines. I'm not positive. I would have to double check that. Power Sports Nation. Used stuff, wicked cheap, and a lot of it. So I think we've mentioned in the past that on Old Big Bear here, it came with a set of these China calipers on it, which are absolute garbage. The square cut seal in them makes the piston retract further than it should when you let off the brake. So, you know, if you pump to get the piston to come out and stay out, you know, the brakes work fine. Super common problem with these Chinese calipers. They're wicked cheap. OEM calipers are $2.25 a piece on the line, and then these aftermarket ones are like a nickel. They take the factory pad, but they're junk in every other way. So that's kind of the struggle. I never realized, and I don't know why I didn't think, had that problem growing up a lot. My mom always said, think before you speak. I don't know why I didn't think that there was a company that had salvage ATVs. A couple of you guys actually mentioned this, so I look into it. Got some used calipers, OEM, and I think they were like 13 bucks. I mean, wicked cheap. You know, granted the pads that I didn't open up this one. I just did the other side. It was great. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know if our problem's solved yet. So like the pads in this one are shot. They got some kind of cross reference. They can. I think this came off like a Warrior or something. What did it say? Yamaha brake caliper right front. I think the other one said Warrior. They had listed what machines these came off from. The other one, the bleeder was already loose. Banjo bolt was out. Apparently they must do some sort of inspection to see if they're junk. I think they said there was like a 30-day warranty, which that's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned, because we anticipate on, you know, rebuilding them, putting new seals and pistons in them. Granted, I don't have any of that stuff here, but I figured, what the heck, for 13 bucks each, I think that's what they were. You know, if we put them on and they work, huzzah. If they don't, huzzah, we got them for 13 bucks and we can buy a rebuild kit or seal. They don't really make a particular kit, but we can buy what we need, you know, cheap. And we'll have factory calipers, that's fantastic. Got looking into some other stuff, really got some big regrets now. I bought a brand new OEM carb for the Grizzly. Still sits over there in the box, but it was $511. And this place had like, you know, 100 of them. Like, frig. And I guess it is what it is. I probably could send the other one back, but I've got it. Called, talked to the guy. He says the Grizzlies are their specialty. I think everything's their specialty. They got like an in-house machine shop, all kinds of stuff. I did a little poking on the line, and on the YouTubes, there's actually a guy who did a video who visited their facility, and it's pretty awesome. Pretty cool story behind it too. I'll see if I can link that. So there's the pads off the used one, pretty well toast. And then we need to pull this bracket off, because we'll get everything kind of fitted. Now the China rotor, or the China caliper, does have the correct pads in it, so that's kind of nice. Let's see if I can get this. Mother of pearl! Get this one loose. Gotta be careful, this thing will want to wad up the boot. Alright, there's that one. That's enough to get it off. Get this bracket off. Oop, there's a washer there. Get our bracket off. Pretty similar to Vanessa's machine there. We already did a video on doing the brakes on the Kodiak. There we go, a little spring down in there, and I rattle clip. So I'm going to get this kind of cleaned off a little bit. We'll see if this piston pushes back in. If it does, great. Like I say, that'll be a big win if we don't have to do anything to them. Piston looks like it's in good shape now. They must use some pretty high quality steel on their piston. It's just dirty and stuff, but no rust, no pitting. So it must be some kind of stainless or something perhaps. Pad here, something push against. Yeah, so the piston seems to be retracting just fine. Little effort. Little effort. About the same thing I put into school. Very little effort. But here we are. Okay, I think we're good. Looking like we're gonna need a tie rod end at some point. I see some rust coming out of the boot. This thing's like owning a damn Chevy. Drive it for a day, work on it for a day. Drive it for a day, work on it for a day. It's not that bad. It is old though. 25 years old. Things are gonna happen. I've got to look into the cam timing on the engine. I think the tensioner there is on the backside from what I can see. And because we did the valve adjustment and stuff on this thing, because it has a little noise at a very specific RPM, and the more I listen to it, it does sound like perhaps timing chain noise. And I don't know, you know, I don't have a lot of experience working on the big bears. I don't know if they're notorious, like if the chains, you know, do get to a certain point of, you know, stretch, or if the chains are just noisy in them, or if the tensioners can seem to fail, or if the guide, I don't know what their guide's made out of. I assume they have, you know, obviously they have to have some kind of chain guide. They have a tensioner. You know, I don't know if it can go wonky. You know, if any bits can fall off it, I'm not sure. So I'm going to look into that a little bit, I think. Try to head it off before it explodes. So there's our China caliper. Now people are going to comment that the brake hose should go into the notch, and I would agree that you are correct. However, if I take this hose and put it over in that notch, the hose hits the caliper pretty hard. I mean, so much so it pushes the rubber back like this, and then it pushes wicked hard against the knuckle. You know, so having them oriented in this direction, obviously they're, you know, they don't go anywheres, seems to work. I haven't looked in service data, because at the end of the day it doesn't matter. I'm not going to put it back in that notch, you know, have my hose twisted, so the hose would be twisted like that. You know, if we had it in the vertical position, it'd be twisted, hitting there, and then like I say, it does push against the pin real hard, and then hits against the steering knuckle itself really hard as well. So wrong hoses, maybe, I don't know. Caliper, multiple applications. Hose can go here, hose can go there, possibly. Someday I might look it up. Not real sure. Like I say, it doesn't really affect me at the end of it all. So I'm going to get this caliper. We're going to leave the hose hooked up for whatever reason, because I feel like I can take it off and swap it really quick before it pisses all over, but it's simply not the case. I tried that on the other side. Pretty sure we drained the entire reservoir. So there's that. So first thing I'm going to do is we need to get these pins, or get this pin out. You got to get the rubber kind of picked up and over it, because you have to push the pin back through backwards. So get it kind of started there. Alright, so now I got the rubber up off from that pin. Now we can work it out the back way. And the only reason we wanted to take that out was to just re-lube it. So we're going to wipe that lube off. Got your classic Sill Glide. Multi-purpose and all weather. I don't know what part of the country you guys live in, but we've been, apparently Canada's burning again. I think a couple years ago it was burning and filling our skies with smoke here. Man, it sure has been awful smoky here lately for about the past 3 or 4 days. And rain, rain, rain. I don't recall ever having had so much rain in the spring. I mean, just, it's like every single day. Constant. Okay, there's that one, easy peasy. We'll take the OG spring here, wipe the cobwebs off it. That goes down in the bottom here. Just holds tension up against the pads, or pressure. You don't want to mix up those words on the YouTube. No sir. We're going to put a little juice on the pins here, very lightly, just a little bit on the end where they go in the aluminum, and then all over the whole thing. If you have a bench grinder at home with a wire brush on it, you probably could wire brush them, but we don't. I reuse the pads. Keep thinking I hear thunder off in the distance, which would make sense, because I think every time we shoot a video. Alright, we're going to guide me in with that one. Get it started just a little bit. There it is. Get your pads in there. Now, if you had the factory pads, you would have shims on the back of them, or at least on the back of one of them. Probably quite similar to this one here. There wasn't any on the other side, nor did they come with the used calipers, so we don't want to risk it at the car show, or the ATV show rather. One pin, no pin on the other side. You're talking mega points. Mega points lost. A little bit of the purple Loctite, the 222. Give that a little snuggie. Felt like a factory spec to me. Wipe off the extra schmoo. We're going to use the OG bracket. Make sure, use that chronometer, make sure she looks nice and straight. And it does. Great. Little Sill Glide on the flats. Little Sill Glide down the hole, just a tiny bit. Just a whisper. Ooh. That goes in there. You got your washer, the blue one. That goes on here. That goes like that. Get the Allen. If your face looks like that, you know it's right. There's a little rubber cap that goes on there. Boom! Robert, your mother's brother. There's your OEM caliper, all ready to be put on. Slip it right in there. Couple bolts. Threads are pretty thin on these, so be careful. Probably could over tighten those quite easily. Strip them all out. Oh, wait till I show you what I got. Wait till I show you what I got. I don't want to give away any surprises. It's the neatest thing ever. Torque to spec, Power Sports Nation. When I was on the phone with the guy, he's like, you need anything else? I need some feeling back in my knees and my legs. That would be great. But other than that, I said, there's a couple bolts, you know. I was telling him about the ATV show. He gets it. You know, he was, oh yeah, I get it, man. I'm judging them. You know, OEM bolts. So they don't catalog their bolts separately, obviously, because could you imagine how long that would take to catalog every banjo bolt? However, what they do is they do this. Look at this. A bag of bolts for Yamaha. I don't know. I didn't ask specifically if this was for the Big Bear. Oh, look. I think we needed that. I think if that's the one for the back axle, that's the one we needed. That would be hella sweet. Let's dump this out and have a little gander, shall we? Bunch of paper. So let's see what's in the bag. Huge bag of it. This is the best day of my life. You ready? Oh gosh, it looks so great. So yeah, they have like a bucket of bolts. Castle nut there. Because there's some specific nuts and bolts, which might even be this one here. Because I like the OEM bolts. Little muffler clamp. This is a miscellaneous bag of stuff. It's a little lever maybe for the, yeah, this is for the reverse lever. Got wheel nuts. Oh, this goes up on the steering shaft that holds your cables. Remember, we forgot that in one video. Oh, it's all coming back to me now, boys. All kinds of little trinkety things. Piston return spring. I don't know if that's off a... Oh, see, yeah, it's a smaller piston return spring. Probably not even off this machine. That's probably off a 250. That's off a 450. Yeah, so all kinds of little trinkets in here. Clearly they're promoting reusing cotter pins. That one looks like I've been working on it. But yeah, how great is that, am I right? These go on the outside of the wheel for your hubcaps. Pretty sure that's where those ones go. It's interesting, I don't know what that is. That looks like a U-joint. Yeah, that's a U-joint cap. There's a hole in it. I don't know why it's got a hole in it. Definitely a U-joint cap. Isn't this great? This is the greatest part of the whole thing. So, oh yeah. Oh, that goes up on the steering shaft too. This all looks familiar. Brake hose clips. All kinds of cool stuff. I think what I'm going to do next, like if I got a call, because we're going to need stuff for Grizz, I'm definitely ordering another box of bolts. 110%. So it must be when they're stripping down a machine, they must just throw the, you know, probably everything goes on the floor. They sweep it up, throw it in a bag, and suckers like me buy it. I'll buy this stuff all day long. This is super handy because I know it's going to have the bolts in here. I already spotted a couple of them that I'm going to need, and just some completely rando stuff. Maybe it was a waste. Maybe it's not. Chrome lug nut. Whew. I think it's worth it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Cool option from a salvage yard or not? The other thing too, I love a good box of bolts. I keep looking on the Craigslist to see if I can find one of these machines that's, you know, pretty well junk but has, you know, some usable parts. And they're just really not out there much. And if they are, I mean, it's like a completely stripped, just rolling chassis, you know, no rims, no tires, often missing everything, you know, anything useful anyways. Because if I found one cheap enough, you know, I would just buy one just for a parts machine. Just see it had some miscellaneous stuff. But now I have ended that search because Power Sports Nation, like I say, it's like my Wilberts. Super excited. No idea why I never looked that up before. Felt like an idiot. Oops. You know, I think it's fine and stuff buying stuff from eBay. As a matter of fact, I think they sell stuff on eBay. But it's just a lot nicer to be able to just call a place, you know. My opinion. Like, here's what I need. I'm going to save the China calipers. They are better than nothing, but not much better than nothing. They're one level above better than nothing. Because they do work. They just really crappy. Okay. Alright, fantastic. We'll have to pull the cap off the reservoir. Take out my $8 screws. I did buy OEM screws. The screws were all broken up for it. One time I was buying some parts and I bought some OEM screws for it. Okay. Let gravity bled them out here. We'll see if crack they loose. It's a very, oh my gosh. I can tell you right now, I'm super excited. In case you can't tell by the weird voice I'm making. The brake pedal's 100 times better than it was. And we're not even done. So okay, so I'm squeezing the brakes. Open the bleeder, close it. Let off the brakes. Pump it up just a couple times here. You don't want to get the fluid all whipped up. Holding down on the brake pedal. Alright, I think we're going to snug that up right there. Oh yeah. The old brake clean. Good stuff. The old junkyard writing on it. Sweet. That's as much effort as I'm going to put into that. We just want to clean it off like around the banjo and stuff. Because we want to make sure it's nice and dry. I might fill up the reservoir and do the other side as well. You don't know how excited I am to have brakes. This is a, you know, obviously this machine's old. It's slow. Brakes aren't 100% required. They're helpful, but definitely not required. We're using the .4. Just a little tiny bit. They don't hold much, let me tell you. Before you'd squeeze that, and every time, boom, right to the grips. That's great. And I just never, you know, I just never wanted to spend that kind of money on the new calipers because I'm like, you know, like I say, brakes are kind of optional on this thing. The back brakes always worked. And the fronts, yeah, I don't know, you just didn't use them. If you did, you know, if you're coming downhill and, I don't know, you just downshift the thing, but if you did want to use them, you just pumped them up 4 or 5 times. Like I say, you just had to pump really fast to get the caliper to come out. I should have shown you. It was quite obvious and quite easy to identify the problem. You know, you could see it just clear as day. As soon as you let off it, boy, it would suck those pistons right back in. it gave the sensation of having air in your system, although we knew that wasn't the case, because if you pumped them, just like I say, you pumped them really fast, they would get hard. And that's, if you had air in it, you would never be able to compress the air no matter how much you pumped it. So like in your car, if you're, pump to get, good brakes, you could have a similar situation. Doesn't happen as often in cars. You'll see it with caravans, rear calipers with mechanical parking brakes. You'll see that sometimes, and if the parking brake mechanism breaks, you'll catch that once in a while. But more often than not, it's a system that utilizes brake shoes, and typically your brake shoes are out of adjustment. So pump, gets the shoes, wheel cylinder to come out and start filling that space, because unlike a caliper, a wheel cylinder doesn't have a square cut seal, so it uses the brake spring pressure to push them back in. So if your brakes are out of adjustment, it's got to push, until it hits the drum, then it's good. But if they're out of adjustment, it's going to suck them all the way back in. So, so you'll find that to be the case. That's awesome. On a drum brake setup on a, like an older car or something. But again, it can be, a square cut seal, something broke there on your caliper as well in your car, but you just don't see it that often. Next thing I want to do on the Big Bears, we're going to harvest the winch off from the Grizz here. We haven't even had the Grizzly running yet, but we're going to steal parts from it. We're going to take that winch off. It's a Champion. I don't know, some kind of, cheapie. I don't know who makes those, but we're going to take that off. The winch does work, and the main thing is because it utilizes this big controller, it does work, but this controller mounts directly to the rack here, and it kind of renders the rack useless from sticking stuff on it. It's kind of awkward. It's kind of weird that they run I assume they run all the current through the switch instead of having a solenoid like they do on Vanessa's machine, with just a small button. Hers is the Warren winch. So that's what we're gonna do. And I did buy a mounting plate for this. I don't have it yet. It was on backward. I ordered it through eTrailer. I've got an account through them, so I got the best price on it there for the bracket. I believe it's going to go here, and then we can use that big switch because we don't really use, the front rack. We can mount it, back here, so it's out of the way. Still use the basket. Have a winch, and I say that because this machine more likely is going to go up on our other property and sit up there, for deer season. It'd be nice to have one, if we get a bunch of snow or you got to, do something extreme. Ah, crap. Okay, let's go for a ride, see if it works. Oh, that feels tight. She's tighter tight. Let's go for a little rip here. I got seat in our pads a little bit here. Oh, baby. So nice. That's beautiful, folks. Beautiful. So that's it, folks. Just took around a bit of a toot. Had to set the camera down so I could really get after it. The brakes work great. The hand, the hand grip, the hand pedal, the hand brake, it's nice and stiff. It doesn't come back and smack the hand grip anymore like it did with the China calipers. Super pleased having OEM calipers back on it. tickles me on the inside. So I'm super happy about that. I see that got some pretty good slop in that tie rod. Actually, all four of them, they all kind of pop up and down on there. Those will probably have to get new. Hopefully they're still available. OEM, that would be great. So I'm sure they'll be in a video, but they're kind of a little bit down on my list. I think they'll hang on for a while. We've got some zip ties in the back in the compartment just in case they don't. And I think that's it. Maybe when we get the bracket there for the winch, we'll show that process. Hopefully that thing fits in there. If not, I'm going to have a bracket for a winch and no winch. Now that I look at it, I'm really starting to wonder if it's gonna, because we have the oil cooler up front there. Hopefully it does fit. I'll likely just keep the wire rope that's on there because honestly, it's not something you use a lot. And, you know, I mostly wanted the synthetic on Vanessa's in case, you know, she's using it so she doesn't get, you know, pokes in the fingers if you end up getting in the stuff, I call it, and you don't need to get yourself out. That's it. So hope maybe the next videos will be on the Grizz. I probably should, because if it's something really major with it, then I don't know. Power Sports Nation does have motors, the guy informed me. He's like, hey, if the motor in the Grizz is junk, let me know. They have their whole in-house machine shop and stuff as well, so they rebuild engines and trainees and, you know, all that stuff there too. So seems like a neat place. I think it's my new favorite place, particularly for used stuff. So glad that I came across it. Super helpful to talk to him on the phone. So really cool. Really cool to have that resource, and thank you guys for sharing that with me. Those of you that did, I did have a fella email me, you know, and he told me about Power Sports Nation, and I think a couple of you had mentioned in the comments, but I didn't realize that it was a used parts, a salvage yard for ATVs, because I use Partzilla or Yamaha Parts Nation, you know, they're all kind of the same. So I just thought, you know, Power Sport, it's just another place that sells, you know, OEM parts. I didn't think much of it until I actually looked into it, and then realizing it's the, you know, the mecca of the used parts stuff. So that's it. I'll post that video I told you guys about if I don't forget. If I do, just remind me. We'll see you guys on the next one.